Hey, everybody, welcome to Three Amigos. It is Friday, December 4th. Our first week of December's over. 2020, gosh, it's almost behind us. I'm looking forward to it. JD is here with us, filling in for Jack. And as always, our fearless leader, Michael Patak, hanging out in his favorite coffee shop. Guys, how are you?
Doing well. I'm glad JD's here. This will be fun.
Yeah, we got the dancing bear as stocks move higher. So I hope we got some hot takes coming from him today.
Looks like a mouth up to me, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Right. So as always, we start with things going on, market moving news. I mentioned this yesterday in the recap. The markets were patient, waiting for Topstep to release our brand new website. As soon as the website released, we saw stocks go crazy. It was 100% due to our new release, and that has surged things higher. No, I'm joke. But we do have a new website. You guys have seen Michael wearing some of the new gear lately. As the hat says, just follow the blanking rules. We are officially Topstep, one unified brand. It's pretty awesome. You can find anything you want at the website. Go check out the website, which is really cool. Getting a thumb through it. And I got to drop this in here. I know some people have already found it and clicked order. We have a shop where you can buy Topstep swag. And there, I call it a little hidden secret. There's a shirt in there with our very own John Hoagland's face plastered all over it. And I know some people have already started ordering it. So get in there, check that one out too. It's pretty awesome. It's exciting to see all this new gear coming out and the whole rollout. Michael, what's your thoughts?
I found two of those John Hoagland shirts already at the thrift store here up the street. What's going on with that? That's Johnny. What's up with that?
Right.
No, I'm joking. No, I'm excited. I thought this was CNBC for a second when you're going to justify any move of the market today based on anything that just popped in your head. So, hey, no, I'm teasing. I'm just having fun today. It's the end of the week. Yeah, this was, we'll get into it today, but John, thanks for joining us. A lot of, the markets were, what would you classify in one word this week?
I think JD nailed it. Melt up.
Unless
it's the NASDAQ, and we'll get into it all shortly, but NASDAQ was kind of that stalemate. And so was the Dow. I mean, the S&Ps were the strong one this week, plain and simple. We had a lot come out this week, so we're going to touch on it. Obviously, COVID continues to surge, but we got positive news and then questionable news with Pfizer. We saw yesterday afternoon, Pfizer's vaccine's been approved in the UK. They expedited things. They've got it approved. I can't imagine the U.S. is going to be much further behind them. Unemployment rate this morning came out 6.7%. And I want to touch again, go back to this Pfizer thing. And I heard someone say it yesterday pretty good. With everything going on, the biggest issue is shipping and getting things delivered. Well, this has been a strange year. We already know that all companies trying to deliver anything are struggling to keep up with demand with everyone sitting at home. So it made total sense. And we saw that this morning and last night, as soon as market opened up back last night, things started to take off. So we got Pfizer going. Stimulus talks are back. I don't know what to think there. JD, what are your thoughts on stimulus talks right now?
My opinion is it's not going to affect everyday Americans like they need it to affect them. They're not going to get the checks that they were expecting to get. Maybe they'll get half of the weekly stipend that they have been getting, but it's not going to be as significant as when they first started. That the 1.8, 1.7, 1.6 trillion dollar talks, they've already cut that in half. So
yeah,
I mean, whatever comes out, it'll help, but it's not going to really do a lot. I don't think the talks around it, it's going nowhere still, and I have very little faith in the whole.
Is the market looking for this stimulus still? I mean, because if you think about it, we got through. Right now, I'm starting to feel that the market's saying, "Hey, all right, we're already taking into consideration the vaccines here for first responders and those on the front lines." Okay, what happened? Looking back at this year, what happened? The markets, to me, still are like we moved everybody into the digital world, and those stocks are flying, and we pruned everything that couldn't make it through this. You got to be digital, or you got to be adaptable type of period. So I don't know, kind of goes back to my last statement last time where it's like, hey, these companies are becoming a lot more profitable than they were before as far as leaning up, lowering their costs. I mean, you can get out of leases, you can size down on future endeavors as far as any costs that you have as far as commercial real estate and whatnot. And your workforce is happier, and they're so I don't know, man. I mean, I think the markets are literally the melt up. It's a slow melt up, but it is melting up, and it's just like these are just a lot of good things that came out of this. If you want to look at the glass half full, of course, your Main Street always gets hurt, with the storefronts. But other than that, it seems like even if there was a vaccine here right now, are we talking about COVID still as far as the markets?
Yeah. Hey, Michael, I've got a question for you, not as the trader, Michael, but as the entrepreneur, the business owner, Michael. When you look at how things have changed over 2020, what have been some of the biggest changes you've seen within Topstep, within other businesses that you look at, and where do you see them going? I mean, obviously we've made huge changes at Topstep. You see all of us working from random places now all the time. Some people have heard we cut back on number of days we're working. So how have you seen things change, and how do you see it going forward from a business and entrepreneurial standpoint?
Good question. I think we all got pushed into being able to communicate effectively, not seeing each other. So we had to do that. So that worked really well. We're all on Slack. Slack's just getting bought by Salesforce. Salesforce is in the Dow.
That's big news.
That's big news. Yeah, we were talking about Slack, and I go, I'm not up. I haven't done anything with it now. I'm 20 cruising. It's great. Our workforce has changed here at Topstep, and we're about 60, 65 deep of people, and we've definitely adapted to this. But everybody now is sitting with a laptop, whether they're in the coffee shop where I'm at or where you guys are at. John's down at AZ. He lives in Chicago, and Danny's up in Lake Geneva, and he lives in Lake Geneva. And so, to each its own and on where they want to sit down and do their work. But the thing about it is we've always had to do our work right here on these little things,
Yeah.
But we're not in the backbreaking work or the different digging ditches type of work. So we're in the digital world. Digital world is the world that kind of exploded in a good way. So for us, it allowed us to adapt in a way that you could pick up some of these habits now and keep them going even after a vaccine, assuming productivity stays the same, which I think it will. People are happier and they have more balanced lives. They don't have to have an hour in, hour out commutes, at the least.
You get to live out in Aspen.
Yeah. And a lot of people on the team are living from wherever. I talked to a couple people, and I think a couple of our team members are actually one's going down to Arizona, and we got Colorado. And, they're starting to move all over.
Yeah.
And just do work. And so whether they're unhitching from Chicago's, we don't know that yet. But as far as the workforce, but it's been really cool to see the us adapting. But going forward, I don't see too much change with what we're going to do. It's going to stay flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
and I think that's the most impressive thing about how we did this. What started off as just an adaptation to what was going on around us. These are going to turn into, permanent policies. And I think it was really great the speed that our executive team was able to make these changes. It was really impressive.
Yeah, we did a great job with it, but just even looking at other companies, I mean, people would talk about the work from anywhere for a long time, but it's like, how do you spend enough time at the executive or the leadership team level to decide how you're going to do it and all that? Next thing you know, COVID happened. It's like, F it, everybody's doing it. if you want to survive, figure it out. And a lot of people
rip that Band-Aid off and go.
Yeah, and that's what happened. So I think that's the coolest part about all this is commutes and traffic may be less in certain high density areas, which then could spend more time with family or more time with hobbies or more time with different things and better life. So there could be good that comes out of this. Now on my way in on the radio, they're griping and complaining about being shut down and there are event halls and things that you go to. But I mean guys, you remember 2008 financial crisis? There's lots of pruning going on that time period too. And I'm not saying, I'm like, hey, let's prune everything and just, have an emotionless stance to this, but that's what happens. These cycles, they do prune the companies or the industries that you usually don't cut out a whole industry, but you can prune it back a little enough to, what do they say when you're horticulture, prune it to grow it,
Yep.
so.
Awesome. Well, let's bring it back to the markets here. Like we mentioned, most of these markets are close to new highs or have hit new highs. S&P's just continues to make new highs. That's the strongest of the three. We had multiple positive days last week. Not a huge range. We had a strong early week, and we've kind of tapered out. And now, as of today, we started to mark some new highs. So I'm pretty excited about this week. JD, I know you look at S&Ps a lot. What's your thoughts this week on S&Ps?
I'm looking at all the index markets right now, and
Yeah.
Can't
these are
take
the
your
times
eyes off
where
it.
Hey, no,
I
John,
mean-
I'm glad you said that, because I'm really looking at all because it's not just the three. I'm looking at Shanghai, the Hang Seng, the DAX, and they're all, you look at them for a year. Now, I'm sorry to cut you off, John, but you said look at all indexes, and that's what I was just going to jump in and say. They're all moving fairly well, up and to the right.
When I see what's happened in the last couple of weeks, I start to get a little standoffish. It's times like this. This is where Hogue coined the phrase for me, or he handed me the moniker, the dancing bear. This exact same setup from earlier this year. When I see these indexes dancing around that 5-day moving average, just creeping higher with volume drying up. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to happen tomorrow, but we're looking at a break coming soon.
We got the perma bear, dancing bear, all showing up here today.
I'm not scared about making that call at all. Like I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow. Won't happen next month. It probably won't happen until March again, but it's just creeping higher. It's melting up. We're watching volume dry up. That could just be going into the end of the year also. But I mean, it's the same scenario every time.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's going to turn heavy pretty soon.
I would think so too. I think we're kind of pressing that point where eventually this thing, it has to spill over. I mean, that's how markets work. They can, especially equity markets.
Well, Danny, it doesn't have to do anything it doesn't have to do.
Right, but it has to. Yeah, but it has to.
Yeah, John, I think you're right. I mean, you look at the daily on any of the indexes. Of course, you could say it's fourth quarter, and it's, it's the end of the year. It's been a busy year, but every year is a busy year at the end of the year when you say, this year. So the volume is getting lower, and we're creeping a little bit faster up. If you look at the daily chart and you look at the volume, you see that the volume going down. You see the chart. So, when is that? You get your Santa Claus rally, so to speak. That happens right around now. January, February, March could be crazy volatile. If maybe, because you got New York's going to come back, and the big, financial cities are going to start, all right, COVID, think past that. So I don't know. I think right now is low volume, and it's just going to keep creeping higher.
Right. Yeah. It's holiday season, right? We just finished Thanksgiving here in the United States. We're a couple weeks away from the holidays to continue to ramp back up. We all know the last 2 weeks of December tend to be duds. Most traders aren't even looking at the markets. If they are, they're just massive position guys that have to maintain a position. So a couple areas to look for here in the S&Ps that I've got. High side, I'm looking up at 3750. I don't see it having a hard time getting up there with the way it's been trading. To the downside, I like 3630. And
yeah,
again,
Danny. John, you got Danny with his line?
We lost you, Michael. Say that again. We lost you, Michael.
Oh, okay. I thought you were freezing on me. I was freezing on you.
You froze on us.
Your levels were freezing on me.
I'll repeat. 3750 to the high side, 3630 to the low side. And disclaimer, these are not finite levels. They're areas to look for something to happen. I'm not saying they're going to be support and resistance. They may be accelerants for a directional move. We may see them fall into patterns around these levels. That's as much as I will say there. Now let's move into the NQ. NQ was an interesting one this week. Strong Monday, comes out of the gates and has fallen into tight pattern. So what does that mean? And people are looking at it saying, hey, this is trading at a pretty fair value right now. It's not getting any sort of directional move. Market's trading pretty fair value. So we had a bigger range for the week, almost 500 points. But the last 2 or 3 days have been pretty inside tight trading. JD, thoughts?
I'm going with the same thing I said about the S&P. I'm looking at it from a technical standpoint. We got what looks like could be considered some oversold or overbought conditions, but you never want to sell a quiet market. So melt up continues for now.
Boom. I like that, because I think it's sitting right on the top of that range. It's happened all week. It's very, very quiet. It's quiet. Don't sell a quiet market. That's a trend, or that's a motto,
Cliche.
that a cliche line that is actually these cliche lines in the markets as traders, they do ring true. Not that it's 100% though, but it's staying right on the high side, and it could be consolidating and building some legs to catch that pop. Now, what's that pop going to be? Is it information coming out? I don't know. We don't have any. It's not like earnings or anything are coming out. So what's coming out in the next couple of weeks? Well, I don't know. Maybe people start shopping early and they start talking about that. I don't know. And they talk about online sales and the digital companies, which makes up the NASDAQ. And so I don't know. But I definitely agree with John.
Yeah, I think so. And a couple things to think about NASDAQ. I really opened up my upside in the NASDAQ. It's a far out number, but I do think, that concept of never sell a quiet market. I did a podcast this week. It was just myself. I interviewed a gentleman named Greg Baird, an old family friend, really incredible trader. And we talked through the cliches. We had a big segment on cliches, and he's been at this for 38 years. And we discussed how much the cliches, most places in the world, when the cliche comes up, everyone kind of rolls their eyes. In trading, it's like, yeah, just keep repeating it, because for some reason it's the truth. You have to listen to it. It wouldn't be a cliche if it didn't work historically.
Like a Dr. Phil session where, what he said, something like, okay, that old line, that does make sense.
Right. So I'm looking, like I said, far off, 12,980, big number, just shy of 1,300. And then the downside, 12,100 on NASDAQ. So I think there's a lot of potential here in NASDAQ. I think we got some possible excitement to come. Let's roll it into the Dow, the big boy, the Dow 30, trading above 30,000. Michael, we need Dow 30,000 hats. We got to have them. We got to get them in the shop.
I don't know. I think they're floating around down on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. I keep seeing guys wearing those hats in articles that I'm reading about the Dow.
I haven't seen the 30,000 hat yet.
No. I mean, we could try. I'm sure I could go to embroidery and have one done for you real quickly.
Right,
but
perfect.
What's funny about the Dow is it got those. We were calling the Dow the old man river or old boomer or whatever. The old, yeah. And then they got the Young Bucks in there. Now the Young Bucks are buying up some stuff. Salesforce is buying up Slack, which I think is an incredible combination, especially their CRM platform.
Genius.
Yeah, it'll work well for their model. And either way, it's a subscription model that Topstep pays thousands to, and other companies pay thousands to. Why would you ever switch? It's not like somebody's gonna come in here and be like, hey, I got carrier pigeons that do a little bit better. No,
it's interesting. It's interesting you talk about that. Like Slack, I think, is an incredible platform for businesses, no matter how big the business is. I think there's obviously a point where, if you're 10,000 employees, having Slack for the entire company might be tough, but within teams, it's probably a great idea. But what's amazing is the amount of people that I talk to that aren't using it, even in small companies and small businesses. It's intuitive. You can tap into it. There's so many things you can bring into it. You can bring in other APIs to give notifications. You can run RSS feeds into it. There's so many integrations you can do with Slack. So here's my problem. I got Salesforce buying Slack. My initial instinct is, boom, Dow's got to go. Dow has been this laggard forever, and Dow just sat sideways all week. It's the only one of the three that didn't make new highs. Not far off. I mean, our high is where I'm looking at the high side of my range right now, 3165. That's our high in the Dow. We're not terribly far from it, but I have been shocked to not see us mark new highs. I was impressed. It's
a slow creep, though. I think it goes back to John's statement. It's still melting slowly up. They're all melting. Well, except the NASDAQ this week is just melting sideways. It's kind of like a stick of margarine that just kind of just like go sideways action. But
All
they're
right,
both going
there's
good.
our new
So
there's our title for this week, by the way. It's
stick
a
of
stick of
margin.
margarine.
Yeah, I don't know where I came up with that one. That's
I don't know. That's usually been the case with all of these. Something strange comes out, and we're able to come up with a good title.
I'm in Colorado, so maybe it's the contact high in the air. I don't know. So the melt up, I think is still going to happen here. Salesforce made a play, and I know they're not the whole thing, but it is price weighted index. So I don't know. I mean, I still like the Dow as far as what they did, the changes. I knew they moved Pfizer out. Pfizer's coming out with one of the vaccines, and they're going to make a grip load. So, but I just think it's all the same. I mean, we talk about the three Amigos here, talking about the three Amigos trading out there, the NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow. And it's just, to me, it's still going to continue that melt up, especially for this month. I don't think there's going to be anything too much unless there's some news that's ground shaking, but we already got past the presidential thing for the most part.
For the most part.
We got the 14th coming up, which is electoral college, so maybe that ends it, but I don't know. And I don't know. I mean, it's just the markets are digesting all the pruned, leaner running companies, and they like it. And
Yeah.
COVID, they almost want to say thank you to COVID. All the markets do. I don't know.
Right. So,
Dow 35,000. 35,000 is the number that scares me, but
yeah, Danny, we're not buying 30. We're not getting embroidery at 30,000. We're getting. John just said 35.
All right, so
By
get
the
them
time
ordered,
I
get
get
them
it-
ready.
Yeah, by the time I get it done, it's gonna be 35.
VIX has been down this week. VIX has been, we saw it about a month ago. We saw it starting to peak up to 35, 37, 38. VIX is back down to 20. As we all know, when volatility starts to slide and get a little quiet, that's when volatility really shows its big, ugly, or beautiful face, whichever side of the P&L you're on there. So always keep an eye on the VIX. JD, do you got some wisdom to sign us out of here? You look like a professor right now. You got the big burly beard, the comfy sweater on, the 1,000 books in the background. You're Professor JD.
Yeah, John, I think you just need to take that top left corner of your thing, the hope, laugh, love, and just sign off with that, because that's that hope, that's the markets.
That's it. That's the wisdom for my 5-year-old niece.
Right?
We'll close with that.
Perfect.
Laugh, love. 2021.
There you go. There you go,
right,
Johnny.
guys.
I like that.
One last question. It's our first three Amigos of the week, or of the month, coming to the end of the year. We'll reconvene on this question, the first one in January. Equities. We know December can be a weird month. Things can happen. Last year, it was all-time highs. The year before, we went into recession territory. What happens this year? Do we stay stagnant, higher or lower? As simple as that. Around the horn, Michael first.
We're going to keep going. Stimulus is coming, so markets love that. Markets love the lean, mean fight machines that all the companies adapted into. I think it's just going to continue to go up. Am I looking for it to turn around and get short and then push the hell out of it? Yes.
Is Michael getting ready for his political run here? No solid answer. It's going to go higher, but I'm looking for it to go lower.
Well, I mean, but yeah, no, I'm still a perma bear as far as there's got to be some corrections in here. But a lot of the fangs and things that are moving these markets, these are running very, very lean, very, very clean, very, very efficient. So,
JD, thoughts?
Yeah, as far as the Dow goes, I say in 2021 we're going to see 35,000, maybe even 40,000. But my gut's telling me we're going to see 25,000 first. I'm
on board with you there. The perma bull over here is going bearish on the rest of the month. I'm going bearish. There's too many unknowns out there for me. This election stuff, yeah, we think it's behind us, but God only knows what could happen. Vaccines, if they don't get the approval soon, does that affect these markets? Does the supply chain with Pfizer really start to rear some face that we start to actually get more detail on it and that we're not going to get this vaccine out? If this vaccine gets approved, how many people are going to be open to taking the first round or say no to that first round? I think there's way too many variables that can pop out this month. I'm going bearish to end the month. On that note, hope, laugh, love.
Hope, laugh, love.
Trade well, everybody.